All right, welcome to Wrestling Uncensored. Tonight on the show, is CM Punk done with AEW? We're watching AEW Rampage as we speak. We watch SmackDown tonight, everything WWE, pro wrestling, AEW, and WWE with two big pay-per-views coming up this month, or next month, November. Where's Johnny? He'll help me. I am jumping ahead. Oh, see, we're still in October. See the Halloween stuff? I'm just getting ahead of myself. I was looking at the November calendar to see what was going on because we're almost at the end of October. There's a chill in the air. Halloween is coming up in a week, right? A week from Monday. It's Halloween. It's happening, people. It's happening. Crown Jewel, November 5th. And then AEW's Full Gear coming up on the 19th of November in Newark, New Jersey at the beautiful Prudential Center Arena. An arena that I visited one time to see John Jones knock out Shogun Rua and become a UFC champion for the first time. And it was a very nice arena. It's a very nice building, the Prudential Center. So good for AEW working that tremendous venue in November. Big building. Really nice arena. The Devils, the Hockey Devils play there. Maybe somebody else, I don't know. Johnny, how you doing?
Not bad. We're watching Rampage again here at the same time, and the Acclaim have won, so they got the trademark back already, which was kind of quick. So they can scissor again, it looks like.
They can scissor each other once again. They got the scissoring back. And now they're doing their scissor finisher on Smart Mark Sterling. They just beat two of Mark Sterling's goons, right? Mark Sterling is one of the manager characters in AEW, and he has a stable of goons. Tony Nese is one of his goons, and he had another goon whose name I do not even know.
I believe it's Josh Woods is the other one.
Thank you, John.
They call themselves the varsity athletes, I think.
Okay, because they stole
but
that
they
from
lost.
the I keep wanting to call him Brian Christopher, but it's Brian Pillman.
Ryan
Brian
Pillman
Pillman,
Jr.
yeah. Brian Christopher was another junior in wrestling. Rest in peace. There's Jade Cargill looking cool, being interviewed backstage by Tony Schiavone. Shout out to everybody checking us out tonight live. A lot of people in the chat. The chat is on fire. People are really jumping in here. Dark Chasan is in the chat. Big Bob Burgers.
Thanks.
Like the MMA show last night. Thank you, Bob. Great MMA show last night with Freddie and AJ.
AJ did not get abducted, though, by aliens, right?
What do you mean? Was AJ going to get abducted by aliens?
Well, that's what you guys were worried about because it kept seeing a white light all the time.
It's possible. I'm not sure what happened to AJ after the show. I haven't heard from AJ in a couple hours. It's possible he's been abducted. You never know with that guy.
That's fun.
Silent by Deadly, one of the members of the team. Thank you, Silent. Thank you for supporting the Ringside Report Network. I'm seeing Anthony Plessia's name up there, renewing his membership. Thank you to all the members. Don't forget to support the Ringside Report Network. Join.ringsidereport.net is where you want to go. Join.ringsidereport.net, $5 a month. You support the network, and you can be part of the show. Thank you, Rob Kloos. See? All the members checking in, renewing their membership, because once you sign up, you don't want to leave. You want to become a member. You want to stay with us. You want to get the shout-outs. You want to get the love. And you want to be able to call in, because all members are able to call into the show and talk to us whenever they want. They've got some things about wrestling they want to talk about. They can talk to us. All right? Johnny, I'm here talking to you tonight. We got a lot of wrestling to get to. I'm seeing people already talking about CM Punk. And there's been some CM Punk news, right? I think it was Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer who first reported that AEW was looking to possibly buy out CM Punk's contract. And that seems to be the story that other people are running with, that AEW will likely not bring back CM Punk at all. Even when his injury is, healed up, it doesn't look like he'll come back. Even some people questioning whether or not Punk would go to the WWE. Some people think he would go to WWE. Some people think that, I think there was a story, I don't know where I read this, but, it was like, well, Vince wouldn't have accepted Punk and wouldn't want Punk, but Triple H is trying to do whatever and do big things, and he'd bring Punk in because he knows that it would help business. There you go.
It would.
Right?
It helps our business, as you can tell right there by the noise.
I think it would. Thank you, Harold Schneider. He says CM Punk's return to pro wrestling was a dud. Harold Schneider has been a member for 18 consecutive months. Thank you, Harold, for supporting the Ringside Report Network. He says his return to pro wrestling was a dud. I got to disagree with you, Harold. I think CM Punk was highly entertaining during his return. I really enjoyed CM Punk on television. I thought he was entertaining. Even, his meltdown there after the pay-per-view, the famous meltdown when he's eating the cake, I thought that was pretty entertaining, albeit probably not the most professional thing, but as a fan, as a guy who doesn't work for AEW, who doesn't have friends that wrestle full-time for AEW, I don't mind when the wrestlers say mean things about each other. I think it's kind of interesting. It makes it more fun to watch. It makes it more compelling. So I enjoyed CM Punk. He took some shots. He said some things about Jon Moxley in one of his final promos that, pretty good stuff about Moxley, how he's not, how he's the third best guy in his group, and he was talking about the Shield. And, Punk said some things and did some things that you thought, well, should he be doing that in AEW? But I think that's what makes him fun. He says things that you think, whoa. Maybe he shouldn't say that. But that's part of entertainment. You want to see somebody kind of push the envelope, push the boundaries. And CM Punk does that all the time. And I think it ruffled a lot of feathers. I think that's really what it is. He pissed people off. And maybe his attitude backstage was not that welcoming. Some people say that it was, and others say that it wasn't. Harold Schneider dropping a $5 super chat. He says, it took a couple months, and then I preferred Bryan. Harold, that's your first mistake. You should have always preferred Bryan. I mean, Bryan Danielson is the best wrestler in the world. And the only reason I'm saying he's not the greatest of all time is because Bret Hart existed and continues to exist. Long live the Hitman, forever may he reign, as the best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. However, I thought CM Punk was pretty damn entertaining as well. Having that 1-2 punch of Bryan Danielson and CM Punk was pretty cool. And once again, those two guys, same company, same time, like they were in the WWE, not able to do a meaningful program, not even a match against each other. Not even a tag, a six-man, nothing on opposite sides of the ring. Bryan Danielson and CM Punk. At least WWE gave us Daniel Bryan at the time and CM Punk in a couple of matches that were just kind of silly about AJ Lee and, not the program we wanted. However, you and I both felt like they should have been headed towards Bryan Danielson and CM Punk in some sort of big match. And they never got there. They never went there. They never seemed to want to even go close to that, which I think was a mistake. Because CM Punk, I don't think, respects a lot of these younger guys. And CM Punk has very few peers in that AEW locker room. But Bryan Danielson is one of his peers. He's an equal, if not greater. They have history. They're not friends. It would have been great. But it looks like CM Punk is probably not going to be back in AEW, which is disappointing. Because I like CM Punk. He's fun to watch on TV. He's more fun to watch than whatever the hell this is. What am I watching now? Daivari cut a promo? This is Daivari's brother, right? The younger Daivari? Arya Daivari? Is that who this is? He's in AEW? And he cuts promos?
AEW, yeah. He's in that group, the Trustbusters, I believe.
So he's in the Mythbusters, and he's cutting a promo on Hook right now in AEW. This is what they give us. Like,
I think he wants to buy the title.
I don't know what he was trying to do. He had a bunch of money. Hook smacked it out of his hand, and now Hook is suplexing this Daivari man. And Daivari seems to have a manager, possibly, in white gloves. I don't know what this guy's deal is. And I don't care.
Yeah, I think it's like a butler, I think.
Yeah. It's not great. It's not great. I miss CM Punk. I miss Kenny Omega. I miss the Young Bucks. I like them all. I'm not a guy that's like taking sides. A lot of wrestling fans seem to want to take sides on this. I'm not taking sides. I like all those guys. They're all fun to watch in their own unique ways. But Punk is definitely missing from this program. Not to say AEW is a bad show. I thought Dynamite was pretty good this week. But a CM Punk promo would have made the show a whole lot better. A Kenny Omega match would have made the show a whole lot better. A Young Bucks match. I mean, we had an opening match here for the Trios title. It was Death Triangle versus the Best Friends on Dynamite. That was the opener. Death Triangle versus Kenny Omega and Young Bucks. It's quite a bit better. Hope they get that for Full Gear. Right? Bring him back.
That's wishing.
I mean, what are we waiting for?
Kingston.
Tony Khan? Who?
Like, it looked like Eddie Kingston and Ortiz. Looks like they're going to get a partner to face Death Triangle. That's what it looked like they were building towards tonight.
Cool. Makeshift team. I don't care. Like, that's not that interesting to me. Don't you miss Kenny and the Bucks? Or you don't care at all that they're gone? Don't you miss CM Punk?
Well, they're missed on the program without question. It's just, do we really need like that trios match? Am I dying for Death Triangle versus Kenny and the Bucks? Like, not so much. It's not like I gotta see that match.
Okay.
But I do feel like we were building towards Punk and MJF, and that's kind of disappointing. We never got that because that should have happened. So that's
Yep.
very disappointing. And like you said, Punk, I believe after he won his first AEW championship, he said like the first thing I should do is wrestle Bryan Danielson because that's the match everyone wants to see. So he made mention of it.
Yeah.
They just unfortunately never got to go in that direction. But I think plans were probably put in motion to possibly go there eventually.
Doesn't seem like it's happening. I don't know why they can't figure out a way to all work in the same company. When Brett left the WWF, it wasn't because of Shawn Michaels.
Well, I mean, it
was money. It was
Shawn
the money.
didn't help though.
But WCW, I mean, Vince offered him this big deal, this big contract, and then he had to take the contract away because he said he couldn't afford it, and he told him to go to WCW and take money.
Yeah.
That's why Brett left, right? As bad as Brett and Shawn hated each other, Brett did not leave the WWF because of Shawn Michaels. It was a money issue. It was a contract issue with Vince.
But he was gone because of Shawn, because of that incident.
What do you mean?
Because after that, they weren't able, like, he has that contract, WCW goes under. If they don't have that Survivor Series incident, they just let Brett go. That's it, switch over, he goes to WCW, that happens. There's no bad blood, but because of Survivor Series, there's that resentment, and it took so long for Brett to finally forgive them.
Well, yeah, but that's not the point. The point I'm making is that if Brett and Shawn could work together, albeit, Shawn was a little underhanded in the end of them working together.
Yeah.
Why can't we figure out a way to have CM Punk, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega all in the same locker room? You don't have to wrestle each other. But my God, you can't get these guys in the same locker room working on your TV show to make your TV show better? If I'm Tony Khan, I am trying my hardest to make sure that I can get all these guys on my TV show. Because they're some of the best guys in the world, and they're far and above the rest of my roster. I just don't get it. I don't get why they have to pick. Why do they have to choose? Because some of the locker room is like, well, I won't work here if CM Punk's here. Well, who is saying that exactly? Are the Young Bucks saying that? Is CM Punk saying, I won't work here if the Young Bucks are there? I mean, if Punk is saying that, well then, fine, buy him out of his contract. If he's being such a little baby that he's like, I can't work with these guys, buy yourself out, get out of here then. But if it is Omega and the Bucks that are saying, oh, we can't work here if Punk's there, then they should be fired. Because if you can't be a big boy and be able to be around somebody without fighting them, well, you shouldn't work in that company at all. I think it's just childish. Well, I won't go back to work if he's there. Why? Are you afraid? I mean, I don't get it. Could you imagine this happening 20 years ago or 30 years ago in pro wrestling? It wouldn't happen.
Well, I think it probably has happened, just not as well known. That people have had issues, There's so many egos in wrestling. People clash all the time. It's a bigger deal now because of social media. Now you get post media scrums like this. You get so many opportunities to talk. We get more of these stories now. And now, like, Tony, for the most part, like it's a good idea what Tony Khan's doing, where he's just kind of shutting things down. Where it's like we're not going to talk about this now. This is behind closed doors meetings, and that's it. Like this is what we discuss, and we're going to try to settle this. And hopefully, they can make it where everyone comes back. But if they can't, they got to do what they get.
At some point, they're going to have to address it, though. At some point, they have to say something. Right? I mean, they're going to bring people back. I'm assuming that the Bucks and Kenny Omega will be back soon. Because all the talk is, well, Punk's injured, and Punk doesn't want to come back. They fired his buddy there, Ace Steel. So,
right.
It seems like the writing's on the wall for CM Punk. They want to buy him out of his contract, get rid of him altogether. Which is crazy. I don't know why you'd want to give him away like that when the WWE is right there and could scoop him up. Which, again, I don't care what your personal feelings are about CM Punk. If you can manage him, if you can use him, you got to sign him if you're a big wrestling company. If he's willing to work with you, find guys he's willing to work with. Put him in the ring with them. Yeah,
if CM Punk, WWE,
like if he's sick of working with children, you could find some old guys for him to work with in WWE. Get him to work with Edge or, Rey Mysterio. Fine. Cody, Seth Rollins, I'm sure I have no problem working with. Even Roman Reigns. Good stuff for him there now. He could do all that. But he shouldn't. Because I think it would be a bad move on Tony Khan's part to let him go and do that. You got to keep him in the company. But apparently they want to buy him out of his contract. Because what did CM Punk call them? The children, the stupid children that he works with can't get along and can't get it together? Maybe he's the stupid child. You ever think of that, CM Punk? Maybe you're the stupid child who verbally abuses your coworkers in public and then expects no repercussions. What do you think was going to happen? If you say that stuff about me, I'd be pretty mad too. I don't understand. None of this makes any sense to me. How people are acting and reacting. Oh well, they had a good thing going there for a while. They had a good thing going.
Well, again, nothing's finalized yet. There's just speculation. This whole thing about him being bought out, people brought that up like a couple of weeks after the whole incident happened. So really, there's not much in terms of news that's happened besides Ace Steel. Like until it's final, where we actually see someone show up, and then you actually hear like they've actually bought him out, nothing's over yet. And if anything, there's a good sign that you saw CM Punk twice or maybe even 3 times this week on Dynamite when they're showing all the Ring of Honor champions. So they at least acknowledge Punk exists in wrestling again.
Okay.
And I think they even showed the Bucks, I think, in a commercial as well. So it's not impossible. They could get this to work again. But they got to get everyone on the same page, obviously. That's probably not going to be too easy.
Do you think the Bucks and Kenny are back for a match at Full Gear? They have 4 weeks of TV remaining. And the card for Full Gear, I mean, I don't know what you're doing. I know you're doing Moxley and MJF, which we'll talk about the promo there at the end of Dynamite. But other than that,
see, the problem though with that is wasn't Kenny they wanted him for some sort of event in AAA, and he wasn't even allowed to wrestle there apparently. And that's hasn't happened yet, but it's coming up, right?
Yeah. Well,
so I mean, if they're stopping him on other bookings, maybe he's just going to be suspended for at least till Full Gear, maybe a little bit after. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know how much of that is suspension or how much of that is we want his return to be in AEW, not in AAA. Because, Kenny's too big of a name, too hot of a name right now to have his return to pro wrestling in AAA and not AEW. That's what I see. I could be wrong, but I think Kenny, he's got to return in AEW. And I hope it's soon. I really do. The show was okay this week. Death Triangle beating the Best Friends in the opener. Main event was Moxley and Hangman that ended with a doctor stoppage when Hangman suffered a concussion.
Scary stuff.
Yeah. Moxley hits Hangman with a big clothesline. Hangman does one of those flipping bumps, and he just bumps on his stomach, and he's down.
Well, more on his head, actually.
Yeah. And he didn't move.
No. And you never saw him move, too, which is another scary thing at the time.
You don't see him move, and something was clearly wrong because they never showed Hangman on camera after the match ended. Moxley was in the ring, and the camera was purposefully staying away from Hangman and just showing Moxley. And you could tell by the camera angles that they were avoiding Hangman. So Moxley, the match ends. Moxley retains the AEW World Title in this match, which I think he was going to do anyways. But it was definitely not the planned finish. How do you think Hangman got concussed? Was it on the clothesline itself? Was it on the bump? What happened?
Well, from what I looked at, because I saw him in slow-mo a couple times, it looked like on that little flip that he did that he didn't get enough rotation, and when he did his twist, he twisted, but he bumped on his head in mid-twist. And I don't know if you saw it. It's like he turns, and then he's still on his head and still turning when he bumps. So it's really ugly when you watch it in slow-mo. It's like, no wonder he got concussed. And when you look at it like that, it's like, damn, they probably thought he might be out. He might never get up kind of thing. So that's probably why they didn't show anything, because they didn't know how severe it was. They thought it was just he's out cold, and it could be really, really bad. Thankfully, it's crazy to say, thankfully it's just a concussion. Concussion's still pretty bad, but at least, he can move around. He wasn't paralyzed, because there was that potential there.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't moving. He was unconscious. It looked really bad. And, they go to the announce desk, and then they figure out that, okay, we're going to go to Moxley to do a promo. And Moxley says, oh, yeah, I hope Hangman can walk again and talk again. And you're like, what the hell? How bad is this?
Taz's reactions, you could tell Taz was kind of shook up about it.
Yeah. They had to raise the bottom rope and stretcher Hangman out. Hangman, it's a concussion, but, I mean, it's a severe concussion, and you don't know what that means for his career. I mean, your career could end with a concussion.
Right. Look at Adam Cole.
Is that what's going on with Adam Cole?
I would think it's a concussion, because you don't hear anything about he got surgery or anything, so I feel like it has to be a concussion.
There's Jason Pete says a few concussions can really mess you up and take you out permanently. He's right. People have I mean, Bryan Danielson had to retire for 4 years because of concussions. Bret Hart had to end his career prematurely because of concussions. It's serious. We don't know how many concussions Hangman has had before this. I mean, this could be career-ending. It was really bad looking. It's definitely going to take him out for a while. You don't know. I wish him the best. I hope he comes back as soon as possible, stronger, and nothing like this ever happens again, but it's scary. You never know with a concussion, which is the scariest part, right? It's unclear. So.
Well, it really changed how the fans perceived Hangman because he got booed out of the building when this match started. But by the end, I think people changed their tune a bit because they felt really bad about what happened there. But Hangman, for a while, for the last couple of weeks, he's been getting booed a lot. So now this might change the way people look at Hangman if you can take any positive out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been on Team Hangman the whole time. I don't know why people are booing him. I like Hangman.
Well, they didn't book him again. The way they book him isn't very good. He goes out and charges Moxley like a heel in his hometown. Well, and then he plays to the crowd too. He taunts the crowd.
Yeah, but I think he's just playing the heel because he's in Moxley's hometown and he knows he's not going to be the babyface. Kind of like what Bryan Danielson was doing when he wrestled Jericho in Toronto. Jericho's still a heel. Right. Bryan Danielson is still a babyface. But in that match, Bryan Danielson was a heel and he played up to the crowd as a heel. So I think Moxley is, or rather, Hangman was just doing the same type of thing in Moxley's hometown. I don't think the AEW crowd has turned on Hangman, although he did get some pretty negative reactions in Toronto too,
and
which was surprising.
Prior to that too, when he wrestled Danielson, remember that he got booed out of the building with that too.
Well, I think people are blaming him for what's happening with Kenny and the Bucks and CM Punk, because his promo against Punk was, the catalyst to this whole thing. It all started with that promo, right? All the heat and all the going into business for yourself and all the wild stuff. It started with Hangman. People are blaming Hangman. But I don't know. Since that promo, Hangman's done a lot of jobs, right? He's lost a ton of matches since that promo. He been in some big matches, He did get to main event and wrestle for the title and all that stuff, but he's lost to a lot of guys. He's lost to Moxley. He's lost to Bryan Danielson. He's losing matches. And I don't think that's a coincidence. We'll see. I hope Hangman comes back soon. MJF came out to challenge Jon Moxley for Full Gear, made this challenge official, and he says he's going to do something for the first time in his miserable life. He's going to earn it. MJF getting real something. I don't know what the word is for it, but he's kind of tormented, right? He seems like
you got to go back to the Regal promo.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff there. That was really good. The Regal MJF promo. Probably the highlight of the show, right?
I would say so. I mean, the matches were fine, but that really kind of stood out up everything else that was on the show. Because, I mean, MJF always has great promos usually. This one was, again, top notch, I thought. Have Regal in there, too. This is probably Regal's best work that we've seen so far in AEW.
Yeah, I agree with that. Regal interviewed in the ring by Shivani. MJF comes out and tells a story of doing a tryout match for WWE when he was 19 years old. And Regal watching the match and telling him that he's going to get him a job. And MJF says, Regal asked him how old he was, and MJF told him 19, and Regal said he was much too young. So send him a match and a promo every month, to see how he progresses, and, he'll keep taking a look at him. So MJF does this. Then he reads an email that he says that he reads every day because it motivates him. It's an email that Regal sent him after a third month of sending him promos, and it was kind of a mean email from Regal. And, it was kind of rough. And MJF says that email made him want to quit wrestling and kill himself. And he reads it now every day because it makes him laugh, because Regal is a joke. And the crowd at this point has given MJF a standing ovation. It was just, I can't do it justice. I'm not going to repeat MJF's words. I'm trying to give you the gist of it. But you got to see this promo. Tremendous stuff from MJF and William Regal here. And then Regal is like, well, you're so sad that you got a mean email when you're 19. I was taking beatings from grown men when I was 16 in the circuses in Blackpool, England, getting beat up in the carnivals and stuff. You think you had it tough? I had it way tougher. What are you talking about? MJF, you've had it easy. And Regal says, MJF, you take shortcuts. You attack people like Tony Schiavone. And Regal says that MJF hasn't done anything to impress him. And then Regal turns his back and says, come on, take another shortcut and hit me. MJF refuses to hit him, though. He can't do it. And then Regal tells MJF he's got a lot to prove, and he leaves. And it was just, great stuff from Regal. When MJF, you think MJF's got one over on Regal? Here comes Regal. And he's like, it's a sad story from MJF, and it's kind of, you feel for MJF. He was a young wrestler, and he wanted to get a job with WWE, and Regal didn't want to sign him because he was too young, and MJF's like, yeah, now WWE is going to have to pay way more than they would have had to pay years ago to sign me. You made a big mistake, Regal, and everybody's all happy for MJF. And then Regal turns it around. He's like, look, you think it's tough for you? You have no idea what I did to get into pro wrestling. You have no idea how hard it was for me. And he's right. MJF, he didn't get signed right away by WWE when he was 19. Regal's taking beatings at 16 years old. Regal, he had it really hard. It was harder back then. I think he's right.
It was a harder business.
Yeah, it was a much harder business. People beat the shit out of you back then. It's not like that for MJF, right? It's really, Regal just turned it around. And Regal talking about MJF taking shortcuts. I think, he's saying something. He's saying MJF he's going to the extreme in his promos sometimes, and I think a lot of it is cheap heat. He does a lot of running down the cities and the sports towns and the women in the cities and the this and the that, which is kind of old school, cheap, kind of basic heat. And he says kind of certain things that cross a line, and he's attacking people that have nothing to do with the match or the promo, or like they're not involved. For example, when he told Sting he was going to put him in the same place where his best friend is, in a Lex Luger in a wheelchair. See, he's taking a shot at Lex Luger at that point. Lex Luger didn't do anything. MJF is making fun of Brian Pillman's mother and how she smokes meth and how he called her name's Melanie. He called her Methany. And he's just saying terrible things about the guy's mother, who's got a real drug problem, who's now dead, by the way. She died.
But he said this before she died.
He said it before she died, but still, she was in bad shape, and it was clear on Dark Side of the Ring the lady was in bad shape, and everybody saw it, and MJF clearly saw it, and he's like, I'm wrestling this guy. I'm going to make fun of his mother, who's battled meth addiction, and who died very young, and it's a pretty sad story. Like, MJF attacks people that have nothing to do with wrestling, the match they don't work for AEW. And he says things about them, and it's controversial, and it makes people go, ooh, but it's also, a little bit over the line, a little disrespectful. And, I don't know if it's right. I think he steps over the line sometimes, and I think that's what Regal's saying, how MJF takes shortcuts. He does things to get heat that really he shouldn't do. And I think, a part of that is he's young, and he's just trying to do whatever he can to get over, and sometimes he'll cross the line. But, he's got to be careful because he might step over that line and get himself into real trouble. I mean, he may have stepped over the line. He may have stepped over the line a few times and just happened to get away with it. But that's the thing. When you keep stepping over that line, when you are, as they say, a habitual line stepper, like MJF is, you run that risk of crossing that line one too many times and getting in trouble. So, it's risky, and I think Regal is warning him a little bit. Because I think part of what makes MJF fun to watch is that he says things that shock you. But sometimes he's not talking about the wrestler in front of him. He talks about, somebody else that has nothing to do with it. And that's a little bit over the line. He's very good, though. He's very good. This promo was great. But Regal delivered right back. A lot of times MJF, he's going to fire at you like the Wheeler Yuta promo, Wheeler was in a little bit of trouble, kind of over his head with MJF. But exactly. Regal can hang. Regal's going to fire back, and you're going to go, oh, yeah, well, I think MJF got a little bit shook there in that promo. So it's good. Very good.
The only thing that was kind of weird is just like, so are they turning MJF face, or are you still going to be a heel? Like, it's kind of like this weird gray area here, because it's like they kind of make him feel sympathetic, but he's still a jerk, and he still potentially could become a jerk again. It's tough to say. That's what kind of makes it interesting. You don't really know where it's going to go exactly. Like, he says, oh, he's going to beat, Moxley clean. He's going to do it like the right way. But you always feel like in the back of your mind, it's like, yeah, he's probably going to cheat in the end, obviously.
Yeah. As he should. I mean, cheating in the end is what MJF should do as a heel. And that's all fine, But, yeah, I don't know what the deal is with Regal. How does MJF prove himself to William Regal? Or does he? Does he need to?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. What about Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta? Oof, Bryan was saying all sorts. Yeah, what was that? They do a backstage promo, and Bryan saying nice things about Daniel Garcia, and Wheeler is mad, and he says Garcia's just using Bryan to get what he wants, and saying Bryan isn't on the same page as the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club. Like, what the hell is that?
It made Bryan look pretty bad, actually.
It was weird, right?
And, like, I'd expect Bryan to beat... I missed that, but apparently there was some weird table botch, I guess. But,
I am the table. Yeah, Roosh and 10. What is this match, by the way? It's
a
Orange
three-way
Cassidy.
For the
Okay, it's a three-way for the All-Atlantic that Orange Cassidy now holds, right? He's the new champion.
That's right.
So it's Orange defending against Roosh and 10 of the Dark Order. 10 just went through the table that Orange was supposed to go through. Roosh and 10 tried to put Orange through a table, but it just didn't work. Didn't break at all.
Put on the side. Slanted it
and just kind of ran 10 into it because 10 is like 250 pounds. So Maybe not 250, but he's up there. He's a big guy. He's a big guy, that Tenster. Yeah. I don't know. Bryan Danielson's supposed to wrestle Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara is back. We haven't seen Sammy Guevara since he wrestled that main event match with Jericho after he had the confrontation with Andrade, where Andrade got suspended. We haven't seen Andrade since either. But Sammy Guevara will be returning next week on Dynamite. They'll be in Norfolk, Virginia. And it'll be Sammy versus Bryan Danielson for some reason. Okay.
You know, I would think Bryan would win that match, but after that promo, I have my doubts. It really feels like they're trying to make Bryan like doubt himself, make it seem like he is the weak link in his group, and even like his group doesn't really like him that much. It really feels like they're making him into a bit of a loser right now. Like he almost has to win that match to not go in that direction.
I mean, how does he lose to Sammy Guevara? That's a
Sammy's got great heat right now, though.
Yeah, people hate Sammy.
Like
He's
honestly, like they should run with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Tony Storm beat Hikaru Shida. Match was all right. Storm retains the AEW interim women's title. If Thunder Rosa isn't back by Full Gear, can they just make it the title?
I mean, they kind of should, but the problem is like they've set the whole precedent. Like when they've made the interim, so you have to wait for the champion to come back whenever they come back. So they probably should have figured out like if there was a better return date on this one. I mean, it feels like she's not going to come back this year because it feels like they're going in a wholly different direction from television watching this.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they have her planned in at all. So I don't think she's back Full Gear after Full. Like it's going to be into next year, I think. So it's going to be interim for quite a while, sadly.
Yeah, but at that point, like if she's gone for 6 months to a year, can't you drop the interim and just say she's the champion now because we've stripped Thunder Rosa because it's been so many months and she can't defend? I like the 3-month rule. Or wasn't it 30 days back in the old days? Jack Tunney used to say you haven't defended your title in 30 days. Yeah, well, that's what AEW should do.
Yeah, but they're doing the whole like UFC thing, right? With interim champions. Like how long can there be an interim champion for until they just make them champion? That can last a year, no?
I think it's lasted up to 2 years in the UFC, but also as little as 3 months. It's kind of whatever they feel like doing. If you're an interim champion in the UFC, I mean, they'll never just make you the champion. They may make you the... No, I don't think they'll ever... They may make you the champion after a while if the real champion doesn't show up. I'm trying to remember, because I know Dominic Cruz was a champion, but he was out for like 2 years. And I think eventually they just called the... Because there was, I think, Hanan Barao was champion at the time when Cruz was out. And then over time, after like a couple years of Cruz getting hurt with his knee, they stripped him of the belt, and then Barao just was the champion. But it could take a couple years. But then Tony Ferguson was interim champion in the UFC, and they stripped him after like 3 months because he didn't want to, take a fight. I mean, they created an interim heavyweight title when Francis Ngannou didn't want to take a fight in September. He wanted it on October. So they're like, well, fine, interim champion and Ngannou, you could fight like in 6 months or whatever. They do weird stuff in the UFC is what I'm trying to say. And apparently AEW does it too. Just because UFC is a real sport doesn't mean they're immune to some shady tactics and some weird stuff with the belts and interim belts. They do some weird stuff. They really do. Sometimes they're just like, when you have a pay-per-view, we don't have a champion, let's make an interim championship. Let's just do that.
Or just make a BMF title.
Let's make up a belt. Let's
Yeah.
make up a belt. So Toni Storm, the interim AEW Women's Champion, defends against Hikaru Shida on Dynamite. Jamie Hayter and Rebel attacked Toni after the match. Britt Baker showed up, but Saraya, formerly known as Paige, made her entrance and attacked Britt Baker. And then Riho showed up and took out Rebel and Hayter. Riho made her return. There's a lot of people in this, like big melee.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do. Does Saraya wrestle Britt one-on-one at the pay-per-view? Do they do a 6-woman tag with Britt and Hayter and Rebel against Riho, Storm, and Saraya? I don't know.
Well, again, depends on how many matches they're going to do. I mean, they love to do 14 matches a pay-per-view. So, to me, one-on-one Saraya versus Britt Baker, I wouldn't mind that. But I mean, if they want to put everyone on the pay-per-view in one match, do a 6-woman, fine. But to me, that just feels like a Dynamite to me. But the one-on-one match, I think, is what people want to see. I think.
I agree, but what's that going to look like?
We're going to find out. Oh, I think Cassidy just won.
Yeah.
Not a big surprise.
No, he just won the belt like 2 weeks ago. Of course he's going to defend in this nothing match. They're at Daly's place in Jacksonville here. AEW Rampage is actually live tonight. Very rarely live, but they're going to be live over the next month up until they do Full Gear on the 19th of November. Every episode of Dynamite and Rampage are going to be coming from 2 different cities. It's going to be live. Next week, they're in Uncasville, Connecticut at the Mohegan Sun. And then after that, they'll be in Baltimore for Dynamite, Rampage in Atlantic City. Then the following week, Dynamite in Boston. Oh, no, that's a double shot, actually. Sorry, they're not live on the 11th for Rampage. But they will be live the following week, Dynamite in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and then Rampage in Newark the night before the pay-per-view in Newark. 10 had -1, -1 with him, and he wanted to fight Roosh. There's Danhausen standing in the ring with Orange Cassidy. I guess he's backing up Orange Cassidy. What a team. And that's AEW Rampage. Not, kind of a nothing show. Even, like, I thought, it's a live show. Maybe they'll do something, they're at Daly's place, their home thing. But it was a pretty basic show. Like any other episode of Rampage.
Well, I think their belief is there's a lot of Orange Cassidy fans, and they'd want to see him in his first title defense, possibly. So I think that was the big sell for that show, I'm guessing.
Okay. I don't know. It wasn't.
It's not for us.
Yeah, I guess not. I don't know. Is Orange Cassidy a draw?
Yeah, I think so. He's got enough fan support. I would say he's a draw. Like, again, he's not our cup of tea, but enough people like him. And he's, for what he can do, like, he's very serviceable in AEW.
I just like pro wrestlers that are a little bit more intimidating. Like, Orange Cassidy is very mellow and laid back, and he's got the whole comedy gimmick with the little kicks and the shades and the hands in the pockets, and I'm fine with that. But I just wish he had a second gear where it's like, oh, now Orange is mad and he's going to get you. There's none of that. It always stays at that pace. It's hard to get excited. I don't know. Not for me, I guess.
With Ospreay, with Osprey, I found like he kicks it to a second. It depends like who he wrestles. I found when he wrestles Pac, when he wrestles Osprey, like you see that second gear. I didn't really see much of it tonight, but again, we weren't completely paying attention to the whole match. But I think again, it just depends who he wrestles. I think he just has better chemistry. You see a lot of that with like the Bucks matches too. Like sometimes the Bucks matches can be really good, depending who they're wrestling, and sometimes it's just like, wasn't anything great.
Jay Lethal and Darby Allin seem to be engaged in something. Lethal put Darby under a garage door this week, and he got stuck there, and then he put him in a figure four leg lock. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, he's not dead though. That's not gonna kill him. He'll survive. No wrestle again, I guess. I'm
Yeah.
not really dying for that match, but maybe I guess they could do a tag, possibly with Sting, for the pay-per-view, I guess.
Cool. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not really the most exciting part of AEW, that's for sure.
Yeah. Joey the Artist says Rampage is wrestling school on TNT. Dark Chasson says, I thought Dark was for that. I mean, it is. And that's more, you know, of what that
Dark's
is.
For that, yeah.
Rampage is a slightly better version of Dark, but it does feel like AEW Dark sometimes, right? Like it doesn't feel like a primetime show that you need to watch. It doesn't feel like Dynamite has a sense of urgency. It's got a sense of, oh, you got to watch Dynamite to see what happens here. And things happen on Dynamite. It's a good wrestling show. But Rampage, it's just like leftovers. It doesn't feel important. It feels like Dynamite is Nitro and Rampage is WCW Saturday Night. You know?
Yeah.
Nitro was like cool. It was like a 2-hour show. It was a 3-hour show at one point, but still, it was a 2-hour show. It was really good. Stuff happened. It was fun. You had to watch it because you couldn't miss Nitro. And then Saturday night, you saw some of the guys that were on Nitro, but their matches didn't seem as important. Nothing of consequence ever happened. No title changes. No anything really important. And that's kind of what Rampage feels like. It feels like WCW Saturday night. It wasn't that Saturday night was a show that was bad. If you watched it, you know, there was some good stuff on there. It was all right. But if you missed it, you didn't really miss anything. And that's what Rampage feels like. It doesn't feel like even SmackDown does, where there's Raw and then there's SmackDown. I mean, both shows are very missable, but, you know, there's a couple things that you might miss, you know? There's nothing on Rampage as an AEW fan that you need to see. The things you need to see to really follow the product are on Dynamite. You're good.
Well, given that it's live, they got to put bigger stars on the show. That's what they got to do to get people to watch it. Just give us, you know, better matchups, more intriguing matchups, bigger stars. You know, like they had Jericho defend the ROH title on Dynamite, and they had an AEW title match. Like you couldn't put one of those title matches on Rampage instead. I would think more of the ROH title, obviously, not the AEW title. Cincinnati makes more sense for Moxley there, but you know, something like that. You know, a bigger star like Jericho, put him on Rampage.
Yeah, you're not wrong. When Jericho wasn't Ring of Honor champion, the Ring of Honor belt was defended on Rampage. But now that Jericho's the champion, it's like, you know, the Ring of Honor belt is actually important now, so they put it on Dynamite. You notice that? I think Jericho is he's the first Ring of Honor champion to really be active on Dynamite. Everybody else was on Rampage because it's the B show.
To me, Rampage, I mean, given the time slot and everything, that'd be ideal. Like they just make it Ring of Honor instead of like make Rampage like another show, get another time slot, another day. Like to me, Friday night ROH, like 10 p.m. to 11 p.m., like that's perfect for ROH, I think.
Yes, but they seem to want to spread themselves very thin and just make Ring of Honor its own thing for some reason. Jericho beat Dalton Castle this week after the Judas Effect to retain the Ring of Honor title. Solid match. I like Dalton Castle. Not bad.
It was fine. I mean, the wrestling that they did, I thought the stuff with Hager on the outside was really bad. And they should be ashamed of themselves for airing that. Because when the boys like attacked him and started punching him, like that was like, the Dark Order attacking the Elite bad, like with those punches. If you remember that, like it was disgraceful. That should have never happened. Like some of those boys should never be on TV ever again.
Did you see The Miz, former WWE champion, one of the big stars in WWE, hit Dexter Lumis, or really the floor, with a chair this week? You want to talk about missed shots? My God.
That's the camera, though.
Yeah,
that's
Miz is supposed...
No,
I mean, come on. That was pretty bad.
They could do better camera work, though, on that one. I think the cameras... But you want to talk about, like, champion, Liv Morgan. Did you see her mounted punches tonight?
Ugh.
Oof, that was pretty bad.
Yeah. A lot of people miss their shots. But, I mean, they can't connect all the way, I guess.
That tag match, too, on Raw, that women's tag, like, what was off with that match? Like, that was sloppy beyond sloppy. Like, everything looked off in that match. I actually liked Raw, but, like, I'm just thinking of all the bad stuff right now. Like, the OC seemed like they were off in their match. The women's tag seemed like it was off. But I liked Brock. Brock showing up was fun. But that only lasted 5 minutes. We had, like, half an hour of Judgment Day for some reason.
Well, that's Raw. You always get half an hour of the Judgment Day. They're the biggest thing on Raw. AEW-wise, Jericho got a contract extension. 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
Staying in the company until December 2025, so that'll make him...
perks now.
Yeah? What did he get?
Got like some sort of more, I wouldn't say like EVP kind of thing, but more like say, I guess, in terms of like what goes on creatively. I guess maybe something like what Moxley got, kind of like, advisor kind of role kind of thing he's got now, I guess.
Makes sense.
Well, I imagine he probably already had it, but just wasn't stated to everybody.
That's it. They're just making it official. So Jericho signed in 3 years. I think that probably keeps him in AEW till the end of his wrestling career in the ring. Probably, although you never know with him. You never know.
Maybe another one, but you never know. That's it. I mean, I'm sure he's surprised right now he's still wrestling. I mean, he was done for a couple of years. Remember, he thought his back was clearly finished, but, he found DDP yoga and it saved him, rejuvenated him.
He is 51, turning 52 in November. So December 2025, if my math is correct, he'll be 55.
Sounds about right.
I can see him wrestling past that. Sting's doing it in the 60s. Why not Jericho? I could see Jericho going back to WWE to do one more before his career is over.
I mean, maybe like a Hall of Fame thing, but I don't know about wrestling, though. Because, I mean, you got to look at the landscape then. I mean, what's their form at that point?
Who knows? The landscape in wrestling changes so fast in 3 years' time. When his contract is up, you have no idea. No idea. Could be anything.
Oh, I think Roman will still be around, so I wouldn't worry about that.
I don't know about that. He'll still be around, maybe, but maybe not. He might be in movies by that point.
Maybe.
I mean...
But I don't know. I think he'll still be around.
Roman Reigns is... I think he's like roughly my age, isn't he?
I was going to say 36.
Yeah, I think so. 36, 37. In 3 years' time, like, you might be looking at getting out of the wrestling business.
Well, like you say, like if a good opportunity comes up in Hollywood, I mean, why not? But I'm sure, like they did with The Rock, they'll try to keep him as long as they possibly can.
He's 37. 3 years' time, he'll be 40. I don't know. I think they're going to start moving in different directions.
Thing is, they need stars too. I mean, they're dying for stars. Like they can't lose Roman in the next 5 years. Like maybe slowly, like kind of like how Cena slowly left, kind of thing. Like I could see that, but they need him around. Like if it's only like for the big shows, whatever, but they'll still need him in 3 years for sure.
Roman is actually one of their younger stars, if you think about it. Everybody else is pretty much over 40. They don't have a lot of young guys coming up to replace the Romans, right? They don't have guys to replace Roman or Seth or, even Cody. All these guys are mid to late 30s. Nobody's in their late 20s, right? Like, they need MJF so bad because MJF is what, 26, 25?
I think 26, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I always criticize their development here. Like, they didn't do a good job developing people, obviously.
You know who's really impressive? Is Solo Sikoa. 29 years of age.
The match was okay tonight. It wasn't like groundbreaking, but it was okay tonight.
But he's fitting in real well.
He's all right. Like, I wouldn't say he's like, a huge star, but I mean, there's something there. Wait and see.
In a couple years, he might be a huge star in WWE. He's in the right group. He's got the right people around him.
Yeah, it helps.
He could be the next one. The next tribal chief. He could be the one that takes over from Roman. Because right now in the WWE, they don't have a ton of guys that are young and coming up. They've got Austin Theory, and that's about it. Austin Theory and Dominic Mysterio. I mean, everybody else, everybody else is a little older.
If Dominic is your future, then you're in a lot of trouble.
Right? Like
hopefully it gets better. I mean, it wasn't that bad this week, and maybe getting him away from his dad, I think it's great for both of them, actually. Like, it feels like his dad needed to get away from Judgment Day. And Dominic this week, like, I completely disagree with him beating AJ Styles. That should have never happened. Wait, you think it's funny that Dominic beat him? Like, I think it's disgraceful,
it's funny.
But whatever.
You don't think that's funny? That's not funny to you.
I think it's
a joke.
You watch the match, like,
yeah,
it's insulting, like, really, like the way it happened too.
You want to talk about shots with no impact? Dominic Mysterio's strikes are terrible. So much of his stuff just doesn't connect, doesn't come close, doesn't look look good at all.
I said he's got the worst strikes in wrestling.
Mm-hmm. But he got help from Rhea Ripley. The referee got distracted, and the Good Brothers were facing off with Finn and Priest outside the ring, and the ref went outside to break it up, and AJ went for the forearm, but Rhea grabbed his leg, and then AJ pushed Rhea away, but Dominic rolled him up, and 1, 2, 3. It happens. I figured it would.
It was a horrible. Like, the offense is like 80-20. Like, he barely hit AJ with anything impactful. But a roll-up's going to beat AJ, like, after all that? Like, to me, it was absolutely ridiculous. But that's their dumb way of booking. Like, AJ shouldn't have lost like that. But I get it that they're trying to make Dominic into something, and he's got heat. Just, you could tell in that match, though, like, AJ had to beat the crap out of him. Just to make it entertaining, because Dominic can't hold the match himself. He couldn't be the heel and just beat down AJ. It wouldn't have worked.
Well, Dominic is one of the young stars on the roster, okay? Everybody else is too old to take over and be the next ones. Like, Damian Priest is 40. Finn is over 40. AJ's in his mid-40s. Bobby Lashley, same deal. Brock, same deal. All these guys are nearly 40 or over 40. And, you got to think about the future. Like, what's the WWE look like in 5 to 10 years? Is it all just 50-year-old men wrestling each other? Because that's not a good look. And not all of them are going to survive that. So, what do you do? I really am wondering. And I'm seeing people throw out names like, well, Braun Breaker. Who else do they have in their system? Like, what do they have? Everybody that's new, that's coming up, is old. They got nobody young on their roster. AEW has lots of young talent in their 20s. Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, MJF. Oh, Darby might be in his 30s. But I know MJF.
I think it'd be 29 or something, yeah. 29 or 30,
He's 29. He's 29. I mean, good God almighty. They've got some real talent. And if you look at, if they can lock these guys up for the next 5-10 years, they're in a lot better shape than WWE is in. WWE's got money. They've got investments and all that. And who knows? Maybe some college athlete that they've signed is going to be the next big star. It's possible. But looking at their roster right now, it's a pretty old roster. It's a pretty old roster. And you got to wonder about the future. We talk about Roman Reigns, and he's 37, and it's not going to last forever with him. I don't know.
Well, again, you can get at least a good 5 years out of him for sure, I think. Or as long as Hollywood doesn't take him before then. So
yeah.
In the meantime, yeah, you got to build up those stars. And Braun Breaker, that's an obvious one. You got to get someone else though. That's it. I think the problem here is they got to stop doing this whole we're only gonna get athletes now. They actually have to get someone from the indies at least. Some of those up and coming stars in the indies.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, because they just keep going down this whole we're just gonna get athletes. They're not producing a lot of these guys. Who of them have made the main roster? I feel like very few.
I know they had high hopes for Gable Steveson, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
But he had some sort of health issue or something, though.
Yeah. But also,
which is
I don't know.
unfortunate.
I don't know. You know who the future of the WWE is, Johnny North?
Jeremy Prophet?
No, that's not who I was going to say.
Okay, that's too bad.
Well, this is probably going to piss you off. Logan Paul.
I mean, for some reason, Ronda thinks that way.
27 years of age. One of the biggest stars in the world has taken to pro wrestling just fantastic. He has really adapted very well. Yeah, but you look at what he's able to do. He's pretty good. His promos are working. He gets tons of heat. He's very well known, and he's willing to wrestle. He's willing to play ball. He's willing to be in these situations.
Every few months.
We'll see.
He's a nice attraction, but, he needs someone who's going to be there week in, week out, though.
Maybe he will be one day.
I don't see that happening, though. I mean, that's nice for wishful thinking. I don't think it's going to happen.
The guy is...
I don't think that's the way his contract was.
He's a massive star. He's young.
Right.
I know nobody thinks he's going to beat Roman Reigns. I don't think he's going to beat Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel.
He shouldn't.
It might not be the worst move because
Oh,
It'd be a
what are
great
you
way
drinking
to build
Ronda's
him for
Kool-Aid
the
now?
future. What?
You drinking Ronda's Kool-Aid, whatever she's drinking too? Like, she thinks the same way as you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did Rhonda say? She thinks that he should be the guy?
Well, because it'd get a big reaction. No one would see it coming kind of thing. And, he's got a big following and all this. And it's like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And then what happens? And you're building this all for Logan Paul just to take it. Like he's had this long title reign just for Logan Paul to finally end it in Saudi Arabia of all places. Like, come on. It's ridiculous. Ronda's not thinking. Like, she's just thinking like, oh, what will get a good reaction? It's not worth it. Like, honestly, like, they should have gave it to Drew before they give it to Logan Paul. But if they didn't give it to Drew.
Drew is a nobody. He's a nobody.
But you had 60,000 people who wanted to see the reaction would have got, and his hometown would have been huge. Apparently, Halloween's now destroyed David for whatever reason, but
that's fine.
It's too bad.
Go ahead, John.
It's great.
You go ahead.
Well, just Roman should win, and it's ridiculous that you're gonna tell me and tell everyone else that you think Logan Paul is best as WWE champion. I don't understand how you sell that to anybody, honestly. Like, you want Logan Paul to show up every week, which he's not going to do. And the next time we're going to see him is going to be at the Rumble.
How do you know?
Let's see. When was the last time we saw him?
I don't know. It's been a while.
SummerSlam.
Yeah. I'm not saying that he should be champion. I'm just saying it's not a terrible idea. He's a big star. The match with The Rock is not a guarantee. If the match with The Rock is not happening for Roman at WrestleMania, what the hell? Lose it here. Take it back at Survivor Series if you want. Survivor Series is a big show, and it's like 3 weeks after Crown Jewel. You got to build something. Have Roman, lose somehow, and then take it back in Survivor Series. Shock the world. Give people something to talk about.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it for 3 weeks? Who cares?
It'd be better for Cody to win it at a big show instead of Logan Paul.
You just want a guy that you like to win it. I think if Logan Paul won it, it'd be a big surprise. And, like I said, he's 27 years old. If he's going to be working for you, even part-time over the next 10 years, you have to establish him as an attraction that can win. You've got to win something big to be established as a threat. When you come around, you got to be looked at as somewhat dangerous. Logan Paul is looked at as a joke right now. It would be good if there was some fear there. They tried to do it with Jey Uso tonight. Logan does a little promo. Jey Uso attacks him from behind, starts beating up Logan Paul, super kicked him, did the running butt thing in the corner. And Sami Zayn comes out and he's like, no, Roman Reigns didn't want you to attack him. He didn't want you to do anything to Logan Paul, which of course distracts Jey Uso and allows Logan Paul to punch Jey Uso in the face and knock him unconscious. Because Logan Paul fought Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match, and they're trying to establish that one lucky shot could put Roman out. And one lucky shot tonight, one right hand, put Jey Uso out. It's not a bad move to establish a future attraction as a threat. Because right now he's not a threat. Who does he beat? The Miz? If he beats Roman, even if it's a fluky win, if he somehow beats Roman, and then Roman takes it back 3 weeks later, it's like, well, he may not be the best, but he's dangerous. You got to be careful. You got to watch out for him. Otherwise, if he just gets beat up by Roman and then just beats Roman and loses to Roman, what do you do with him going forward? I don't know what he is after that.
Still an attraction. You can still have matches that people want to see.
Like
He
what?
doesn't need the championship. Well, just him really against anybody. You can put him against Rollins. You can put him against Riddle. Any match where it's a good match where you can wrestle a guy who does a lot of counter wrestling. I'm sure he'd have very good matches with guys like that. Guys who are kind of athletic like he is.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably right, but
He doesn't need the title. Give the title to someone you can make into a bigger star off of. He's already made. He doesn't need the title.
he's not made in wrestling.
Yeah, but he's got a bigger following than wrestling, so it's fine. Like, you just use him. That's it.
Maybe. Maybe not, though. I'm just telling you, John, if they put it on Logan Paul at the Crown Jewel, I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be mad whatsoever. I don't think it's a bad move. I think either way it's fine. If Roman wins, yeah, fine. It's Roman. He's a tribal chief. He beat another star. Fine. Another win for Roman. But if Logan Paul wins, well, you're establishing him as a threat going forward, which is not a bad idea either. I think it's fine either way, really. But I know that so many wrestling fans will be so mad if Logan Paul wins the title from Roman Reigns. If Logan Paul is the guy to take it from Roman, people are going to be so upset. And that's part of the reason why I want to see it happen. Because it's funny when people are mad about wrestling. It's funny to me. How could they do this? They're so stupid. There's a reason, right? I mean, you see the reason why they might want to.
Yeah, well, you've explained it. Ron has explained it. I just don't think it's good enough to give him the championship. Like, honestly, like, Austin Theory should cash in Money in the Bank. That'd be better.
I think that there's an argument for that too, John. Austin Theory's a wrestler. He's got money in the bank. It would make sense for him to be the guy to be the champion. You can use
25.
him full time. He's 25 years old. There is a good argument there. But if Austin Theory is WWE champion, it doesn't make the same amount of noise as, Logan Paul is WWE champion.
Yeah, you give it time, though. Make him champion now. He just beat Roman. That's huge. I mean, again, it helps if it's at a bigger stage. Like, the fact that it happens in Saudi Arabia Saturday afternoon. The WWE Championship should not be changing hands on a Saturday afternoon. This is why at Clash at the Castle, it didn't make much sense. That was also a Saturday afternoon? Like, where most people probably aren't even going to watch it live. I just don't see the championship changing. Like, we've seen it happen once before. I think with Goldberg and The Fiend, right?
Yeah, and that was like a
hands,
Thursday afternoon, John. That wasn't even on a weekend. That's when they did it on like Thursdays or Wednesdays or something. That was a weekday afternoon.
That was also with 2 titles, though. I mean, this is now just one main championship. It's different. And again, Roman being the champion for so long. Like, unless it's WrestleMania, I don't see him losing.
Well, Roman will be on SmackDown next week. He will make his return. He was not on SmackDown tonight. His cousin Solo Sikoa got a win over Sheamus with help from Sami Zayn and the Usos. They attacked Sheamus after the match. They put his arm in a steel chair and smacked it with another steel chair. And Sheamus selling some sort of arm injury, and he was taken to a hospital. We got updates on Sheamus's condition throughout the night. Sheamus is injured by the bloodline tonight. Why?
Well, they're trying to make him into a face. That's it.
I guess.
I mean, and they kind of already have, but I mean, they got to build up some sympathy because, like, it's nice that people cheer for him, but they got to give him a reason why to cheer for him because he can overcome the odds, kind of thing. Like, because he can overcome the fact that he got beaten down, he got his arm broken, but he'll still fight back, kind of thing. He needs to be that kind of face.
It's weird that they're making him a babyface now. They're putting effort into a babyface push for him now when he was just feuding with Gunther and it was very unclear because they were both heels. Like, wouldn't it have been a good idea to do it before? The
Well,
Gunther
but off
thing?
that, they were able, the audience kind of decided who they liked,
Yeah.
which is weird because off the Liv Ronda thing, they cheered Ronda, and now they've gone in the direction where Liv's the face, kind of ish, whatever, and Ronda's going to be a heel, where that's not what the fans wanted whatsoever, it seemed, but okay. We're just forced into what they want to give us. That was horrible. Like, stupid non-finishes. Like, I don't know how do people get over with this stuff. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
They're trying with something with Liv Morgan, right? They were trying something with her tonight. She wrestled Sonya Deville, went to a double countout on SmackDown. Liv won't stop attacking Sonya outside the ring and seemed to ignore the referee's count. Liv was getting...
They're right there.
Yeah, of course.
They're right at the ring apron.
But
like,
Liv
so
was
stupid.
like, she snapped, right? She's got that creepy smile and she's being all smiley and she likes pain now. She's... Ronda
and
broke
everyone's
her.
the Joker.
Yeah.
Everyone's the Joker now, you know? Seth Franklin's a Joker. Liv Morgan's a Joker. Like,
Bray Wyatt.
everyone's doing the joke. Yeah, Bray Wyatt. Like, everyone does Joker gimmick now.
Yeah. Liv Morgan does it the worst. It was really bad. Terrible match. Terrible facial expressions. The smile. It's just awful. It's horrible.
It's just cheap dinner theater. That's all it was. Like,
Ugh.
it wasn't really a wrestling match. It's just a performance. It's more about her doing the stupid smile and then just a beatdown. They went through a commercial break.
Ugh.
You went through a commercial break just for a non-finish. That's rough. Like, I don't know who booked that, but that was a bad idea.
SmackDown was pretty weak tonight. It was pretty weak.
I liked Ray's match. Ray probably had the best match tonight. I think,
Ray
against,
beating
Kaiser.
Ludwig Kaiser. Hit a 619 and a
Great
top
match.
rope splash for the pinfall. Yeah, very good match. Ray is great. Ray and Gunther should be good at Crown Jewel.
Oh, already? Wow. Yeah, that should. It's a good card when you look at it overall so far.
Is it?
I mean, you got Roman, Logan, you got Brock and Bobby,
Right.
and now you have Ray and Gunther.
Ray and
then,
Gunther. Braun versus
another
Omos.
Right, yeah.
Drew McIntyre. Say it again.
That kind of, they had their little face-off tonight.
Yeah. Braun and Omos facing off on SmackDown tonight. And Omos pushed Braun out of the ring. It is kind of crazy to see Braun Strowman be eye level to a man's chest. You know?
Yeah, crazy.
It's crazy how giant Omos is. And you know how big Braun Strowman is. And then when you see them together in the ring, it is pretty nuts. Because Braun is looking up. And he got pushed out of the ring by Omos. And that match official for Crown Jewel. I don't know how good it'll be, but I'm looking forward to it. Drew McIntyre made a steel cage match official tonight on SmackDown in a promo talking about Karrion Kross. So Drew versus Karrion Kross in a steel cage at Crown Jewel. Braun versus Omos. Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. The OC, AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson taking on Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio in a 6-man tag. And Roman Reigns defending the WWE Undisputed title against Logan Paul. Bray Wyatt did another creepy backstage interview. I guess this one wasn't creepy. He was more talking about his problems and how anger can take him to a place he doesn't want to be, and there was some creepy piano music playing.
It was his theme song.
Was that his theme song?
Yeah.
Bray says that he's just a servant now and goes where the circle takes him. I don't know what that means. Is the circle his new team? Does he have a group, or is it just something he was saying? I don't know. I'm not trying to analyze what the hell this guy's talking about. I don't care.
Right. We're back to cryptic Bray Wyatt promos, and it's like, okay, fine. Like, I'm sure it means something, but you're not going to tell me, so I don't really care too much. I kind of lose interest in that kind of stuff. So to me, it's like, it's just a big light show in the end. That's pretty much all it is. So next, please.
And people try to read into it and analyze it and whatever. I don't see it as anything more than dumb shit.
People love to look into every little thing and think it's like, the biggest thing in the world. And honestly, I think some people, like, their fan fiction is better than anything WWE can come up with, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because
I see all these theories on Twitter. I'm watching the show, and they're like, oh, Bray Wyatt's promo. Don't you see the music was doing this, and then he's doing this, and then that means this. And it's like, okay, when's the WWE going to confirm your theory? Because so far, all they do is give you a bunch of nonsense, and they don't confirm anything because there is no theory, because what you're saying is just made up in your own head because you're trying to make sense of it because it doesn't make sense. You're trying to connect dots that don't connect. It's stupid. It's just dumb shit.
Well, again, he has a fan base. People like it. It's not our cup of tea.
Who are these people? What else are they watching on TV? You know what I mean? This is what I wonder. What else are you watching? Because we got to be watching different TV shows. We're both watching wrestling, but when you're not watching wrestling, what are you watching? Because I got to believe it's something totally different than what I'm watching. Because they're not seeing the same thing, and they're not entertained by the same type of shit that I'm entertained by. You know what I'm saying, John? These guys aren't watching Trailer Park Boys. Or maybe they are. I don't know. I don't know, man. I can't make sense of it.
That's more like the DX kind of stuff. Do you have your Trailer Park Boys Halloween costume yet, by the way?
I'm not doing a Trailer Park Boys costume this year. I got something else going. I got a costume, but I can't reveal.
They have a contest for that. That's too bad.
I don't need a... What's the prize?
Oh, I don't know if they named it. They said there would be some sort of prize, but I don't know if they named it.
I'm good. I've got an autographed Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles poster right here in the office, John. It's pretty sweet.
That's pretty sweet, yeah. You should see in the background next time.
Yeah, it's not up yet. I have to get it framed. I'm getting it framed. That's a nice one.
Nice.
It's real fancy. Yeah, so Bray Wyatt did his whole thing, and then there was creepy Bray Wyatt videos that were playing later on. Because he's just normal Bray Wyatt, but then there's evil mask guy, and there was some videos playing on SmackDown.
Yeah, I don't know, some sort of code orange or something. I'm not sure exactly what it all is, but I'm sure at some point they'll let us know. Until then, it's just weird things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's some sort of direction. Just, it's all bizarre until you get to whatever end goal they have here.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned Ronda Rousey. She cut a heel promo tonight, which we haven't seen her since I think she won the belt from Liv. Liv's doing this new evil laugh smile thing, and Ronda is a heel. She's like, oh, I'm not here for the fans. The fans were mean to me. They wanted their favorite Liv Morgan to win. They don't want to see the best win. Well, too bad, because I'm the best, and I'm here, and I'm going to win, and you can't deal with Liv Morgan. No Liv Morgan.
Yeah, they were cheering Ronda, but whatever. Okay.
Yeah, they were cheering Ronda, but Ronda's like, no, the fans don't like me. It's like, what? And then she's going to do an open challenge next week on SmackDown. Okay.
All right.
Will Liv Morgan answer the challenge? Like, I don't know. I don't understand why Ronda cut this heel promo out of nowhere, but hey, it's the new direction for Ronda Rousey. Do they have a strong babyface that they're trying to put up against Ronda, or?
I mean, they're loving this Shotzi Raquel Rodriguez team, maybe one of them, possibly.
Maybe
They lost
Raquel.
tonight, but
Yes.
they did Raquel already though.
Io Shirai and Dakota Kai beat Shotzi and Raquel tonight. Bayley distracted Shotzi, which allowed Io to take control, hit the moonsault for the win. It was a tag team title match, actually, and Damage Control retained there. I could see Raquel and Ronda. Like, not to beat Ronda, but as a feud, as a match. Maybe a couple matches.
Well, are we getting a match at Crown Jewel? Are the women wrestling? Crown Jewel, I don't believe there's a match yet announced, right?
No, but we have seen women's wrestling in Saudi Arabia before. I would expect it. I would expect a match or two.
I mean, out of all of them, Ronda should be getting the match, right? I mean, she's the biggest name.
Yeah. I could see Ronda and Liv Morgan or Ronda and Raquel at Crown Jewel. So that's what's going on there. As far as the Raw Women's Championship, Bayley will be challenging Bianca Belair for that one on Monday night.
It's a title match.
Yes, I think so, isn't it?
I just saw that they announced the match. I don't know if they announced that it was title.
Oh, I thought it was a title match. Maybe it's not. But you figure, why do the match?
Well, Orange Cassidy originally wasn't supposed to wrestle tonight. It was just supposed to be 10 versus Roosh, right? And then suddenly, oh, well, it's a three-way for the title. So maybe it's a title and I just missed it. But wait, come Monday, I guess.
Maybe AEW realized they had no main event for Rampage, and they're like, well, let's make it a title match with Orange in there.
Well, probably, yeah, 10 against Roosh, probably not the best main event for Rampage. They probably realized that, yeah.
So Bayley will wrestle Bianca on Raw Monday night. There was a tag match with Bianca Belair that Johnny didn't like. Bianca and Candice LeRae lose to Io and Dakota this week with help from Bayley. It wasn't the best.
Sloppy. Very sloppy. And it just looked like they were lost many times, and like a lot of their strikes were just either off or just completely weak. Like this was just really bad wrestling. Like you saw some good wrestling on Raw, I thought, this week, but this was low level. Like for WWE, this was like lower than NXT. And it's bad because the people in that match, they should be better.
Where do we see good wrestling on Raw this week, John? Riddle and Rollins?
I thought that was a good match. Like, again, they've had better matches, but this was an okay match. I had no problem with what it was.
It was the main event of Raw, which kind of a dud main event. Kind of a dud way to end the show. Riddle hooks Seth in an RKO position, and then Elias gets in the ring because Elias is back. Why is Elias in the ring at that point?
Because like they interrupted Elias's piano playing or keyboard playing.
But Seth did that.
Rollins. Yeah.
So
and then because they did this whole thing where everything like kind of one segment would lead to the next segment kind of thing. They tie in together. Yeah. They're doing that like the whole night for it's some sort of thing they do now, I guess.
Well, it's not a bad idea to keep the show kind of together, but like Elias does a promo. Elias says, oh, my brother's career is over, so the Ezekiel thing is over. That experiment is done. He's back to Elias. And he's going to do a song, but Riddle comes out, and they're going to do a song together. And they see, like, Riddle and Elias seem to be friends, right? I've got this correct so far?
Seems like it.
And then Riddle is about to beat Seth, and Elias gets in the ring. Seth pushes Riddle into Elias. Riddle bumps into Elias. And then Seth hits the curb stomp on Riddle. 1, 2, 3. Seth wins to retain the U.S. title. How come there's no disqualification when there's an illegal man in the ring interfering physically with the match? I mean, there was contact made in the ring. Why is Elias getting in there? It didn't make a lot of sense. And then Mustafa Ali came out to attack Seth Rollins because they had a promo against each other earlier on in the night, which was not great.
Right.
They keep trying to repackage Mustafa Ali. If it's not this, it's that group he had that sucked, that went nowhere, Retribution. Remember all that shit they were trying to do when they had all those guys jumping in every show? There were goons everywhere. And then it fizzled out real quick because it was terrible and it was really, really not well done. No follow-through. And Mustafa Ali was the leader of that group. It was a big reveal as Mustafa, the leader of Retribution, which just didn't work. And part of the reason why it didn't work, if we're being fully honest, it's not just the WWE dropping the ball. Mustafa Ali, as the leader of that group on the microphone, didn't work. It didn't work. And again, Mustafa Ali on the microphone here with Seth Rollins. I don't know. Did it work for you? I'm not hyped up to see him beat Seth Rollins and get revenge. I really don't care.
The main problem is, like, they haven't built him up enough to wrestle a guy like Rollins. That's the problem. Rollins is too high up, like a main event guy. And Ali, like, who is he beating? Like, I can't remember the last time he won a match. And even if he's won a match, like, I doubt he's beating like a top guy. And he's gonna like go for the championship. Like, regardless if the U.S. title is like, you know, a top title or not, it's still a pretty decent championship. And like, Ali's not there, not against like Rollins.
And that was the main event of Raw. That's how Raw ended, with Mustafa Ali. After Seth had beat Riddle, Mustafa came out to attack Seth and sent him running. And that's how Raw ended, with Mustafa Ali chasing off Seth Rollins. Wow, I can't wait to tune in next week. Maybe there'll be more Mustafa Ali and Seth Rollins. Or Judgment Day, I'll get to see Dominic Mysterio wrestle again. I mean, what the hell are we supposed to be tuning in for?
The beginning was good.
Even that. I mean, Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. Meh.
When he rammed Bobby into the post, that sounded like it was kind of special right there when he hit him.
Okay. I don't know. It's another one of these pull-apart brawls between two guys. It just doesn't go anywhere. You know, they're building the match. It is what it is.
They gave Bobby like pretty much most of the over in that one because he left Brock laying and he was bleeding for whatever. I think when they screwed up the first table thing, I think he got cut open on the table or something, or one of the end pieces possibly.
Mm-hmm.
But they made Bobby look strong there. Like, I don't think Bobby's going to beat Brock in Saudi Arabia, but they at least gave him something on Raw.
Yep, he speared Brock over the announce table, and then he put him through it with a spine buster. You know, they gave Bobby a little revenge from the last time when Brock beat up Bobby, trying to make it seem even. I see through it. It is what it is. They'll have their match. They had a match at the Rumble this year. Bobby actually won with help from Roman Reigns, if you'll recall.
Yeah.
Paul Heyman had left Roman Reigns, had rejoined Brock Lesnar, and then Roman Reigns came out. Brock Lesnar was WWE champion at the time. Roman took the belt from Paul Heyman. Heyman gave Roman the belt. Roman hit Brock with it, speared Brock, and then Bobby beat Brock and became champion, which he quickly lost to Roman?
He lost the title in the Elimination Chamber.
Right. To
Brock.
Bobby did. Oh, but he didn't actually lose it, right?
Well, yeah, because he got hurt before.
In the pod.
He got jumped in the pod.
Jumped in the pod, yes. Yes, I remember that. Bobby.
Because he actually got hurt against Brock because Brock gave him all those Germans and he hurt his neck.
Mm-hmm. He'll probably do it again. Maybe worse.
Bobby doesn't know how to take a German suplex correctly, clearly, still.
You think it's Bobby's fault?
Did you see, like, the last time, like, last week on Raw, like, when he gave Bobby a German, like, he was still, like, turning the wrong way. Like, Bobby doesn't know how to take Germans.
Well, he should learn because he's going to have to take a few of them when he wrestles Brock Lesnar. And since Bobby won the last one, I do expect Brock to win this rematch here in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel. Bobby versus Brock is official. Good Brothers beat the Alpha Academy this week. They hit their finisher on Gable. And then the Judgment Day came out, and Judgment Day and the club have a whole thing, and they challenged them to a match at Crown Jewel. A lot of Dominic Mysterio promos. The fans hate Dominic. Everybody hates Dominic. He's terrible. But he did beat AJ Styles with help from Rhea Ripley in the Judgment Day, which was ridiculous. Yeah, all that Judgment Day stuff, like, I'm over it. I also am done with Baron Corbin and JBL already.
Oh, JBL was great.
I mean, JBL's great. JBL is very good. I like JBL. His promo was really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I knew he was going to run down the state of Oklahoma. I knew that they were in Oklahoma, and I listened to the JBL and Jerry Briscoe podcast, and Briscoe is from Oklahoma, and JBL is from Texas, and I understand there's quite a rivalry there. And JBL spends half the show just making fun of the state of Oklahoma and Jerry Briscoe for being from Oklahoma. And then Briscoe says bad things about Texas. So I know that that's a deal. And JBL came out, and he was in Oklahoma, so I knew he was going to run down the state of Oklahoma, which was pretty good. But then Baron Corbin came out, and JBL's like, oh, this guy is a future wrestling god. And JBL was on commentary, which was all right, but, you know, I had to watch Baron Corbin wrestle Dolph Ziggler for a while. And I knew what was going to happen, too, because this was the repackage of Baron Corbin. So you knew that he's no longer Happy Corbin. He's just Baron again. And you knew that he was going to beat Dolph Ziggler here. And it took a while, and it wasn't great. I don't need to see Baron Corbin wrestle. That's it. That's the end of the sentence. I don't need to see Baron Corbin wrestle.
Well, I just want to say I appreciate JBL. He came out, got a huge pop, and instantly got them to boo him. Like, that just shows you what a great heel he is. And I'll agree, the match, I wasn't very interested. It was very long. I think it went through at least a commercial break, maybe two. But his commentary kept me going through that. Just to hear his little things, calling Kevin Patrick Shamrock. Just little things like that. Like, he has that little extra flair to him that no one else has in WWE. Like, it feels like he's not afraid to talk like everyone else is. And, like, it's amazing. Like JBL, like, he didn't have a long run, but he made a difference in WWE. And it's still, it kind of shows like he's somewhat still a legend, I think.
Of course. He's fun to listen to. I like JBL. I'm a fan. Like I said, I'm a big fan of his podcast. I think next to our show, he has the best wrestling podcast out there with Jerry Briscoe. Stories with Briscoe and Bradshaw, JBL and Briscoe, whatever it's called. It's very good. They interview wrestlers and they talk shit. That's good. It's very good. So I like JBL, but, you know, Baron Corbin? Not so much. Not so much. Speaking of guys I don't really like, The Miz had a whole thing with Dexter Lumis. He was supposed to wrestle Dexter Lumis. They announced it, and they didn't have the match. It was a stipulation where if Miz won, Dexter Lumis would have to leave him alone forever, and if Lumis won, he got a WWE contract. Miz was pretending he was injured, and there was a whole thing there, backstage, little segments, until eventually Lumis came out for the match, and Miz attacked him with a steel chair, hit him a bunch of times. You could tell by the camera angle that Miz was just smacking the floor with the chair. Looked pretty bad. And then Dexter Lumis was taken out, I guess, by the Miz there. And Johnny Gargano is getting involved in this and saying, why don't you give Dexter Lumis what he wants, what you promised him? And Miz is like, I'm not going to do that. And Gargano's like, if you don't come clean and tell everybody what you have going on here with Dexter Lumis, I'm going to do it and blow the whistle on everybody. And what the hell is this now? That's all I was saying while I was watching this. I was like, what the hell is this now? Miz got kidnapped by Dexter Lumis, and then he promised him something, and Johnny Gargano knows what it is, but Miz doesn't want to admit it or give it to him. That's why Dexter Lumis is haunting him. What did Miz promise Dexter Lumis? What the hell is this?
Yeah, I don't know. And it's weird because we haven't seen Ciampa in a while too. So
Right.
I don't know if that ties in with him whatsoever or not, or I'm not really sure where this is going. I'm not too interested in this whatsoever, so
No, me neither.
I kind of I wish we had the match so we could just get this over with, but
yeah,
sadly we've dragging this out. Now we're dragging in Gargano into this as well, so
yeah,
sadly this just keeps going, and it eats up a lot of Raw time.
I thought it was a cut and dry. Dexter Lumis doesn't like Miz. He kidnapped Miz. He's haunting Miz because he's a creepy guy. They have a match, and that's it. And then we can move on, and Lumis could be creepy with somebody else, and Miz could, just be a loudmouth guy doing whatever.
Right.
But that's not what we have here. We're adding Johnny Gargano into this, and we're adding a mystery to it. What does Dexter Lumis want that The Miz promised him? And why does Johnny Gargano know the truth? Find out next week on Raw. I'm all right. I'm good. Because we won't find out next week on Raw. And I know that when we do find out what the hell is going on, it won't be that satisfying. That's why I don't care.
No,
I think that's one of the main reasons why I don't care. Because I know that it's going to lead to not much. You gotta have a good payoff. And that's why, their payoffs are so garbage in WWE, is that you don't even care about these stories or these mysteries, because they very rarely give us something where you go, oh, that was worth the ride. Right? At the end of these stories, you very rarely go, that was a nice, satisfying conclusion. You mostly go, oh, this is still going on? Are we done here yet? Right? WWE drags things on for so long that you just don't care anymore. And you just want it to end.
Well, they could make it interesting. It could be like, he promised Lumis he could sleep with Maryse or something. They could make it enticing.
That's pretty spicy.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
But they won't do anything. It'll just be he promised him he get him a contract or something. It's probably some kind of crummy like that. But they have potential to make it into something if they wanted.
Yeah, I don't know what they could possibly do. Next week on Raw, Bayley versus Bianca. Next week on SmackDown, Hit Row versus Legado del Fantasma. Roman Reigns will return to the show. Ridge Holland and Butch will take on Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa. And Ronda Rousey will defend the SmackDown Women's title. Johnny, I will be back here tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with my buddies Freddie and AJ, because we're going to be watching UFC 280. Yeah, not too long from now. Back here, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday afternoon, a special afternoon UFC watch-along. UFC is in Abu Dhabi, so it's an afternoon show. UFC 280, Charles do Bronx Oliveira defending the UFC lightweight title against Islam Makhachev. Aljamain Sterling defending the UFC Bantamweight title against TJ Dillashaw, and some other fantastic fights tomorrow afternoon at UFC 280. We are very excited for this pay-per-view. Tremendous main event, co-main event. Piotr Yan, Sean O'Malley, Mateusz Gamrot, Beneil Dariush, Caitlin Chukagian, Manon Fiorot. What a pay-per-view. Coming up tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the watch-along right here on the Ringside Report Network. Johnny, before we go, tell everybody where we can see you next in the ring.
Well, that'll be October 30th against Drew Onyx. Be in Laval. I believe bell time is 4 p.m. And it's going to be at a high school in Laval. The name's escaping me right now what the high school is, but I think if you could check out the Torture Chambers Facebook page at TC Pro Dojo, that should have all the info about where it's going to be located.
There you go. Follow Johnny on Twitter at North Genesis. You could follow me at Dave Simon MMA on Twitter and Instagram on all the things. Follow us. Go to our website, ringsidereport.net. And, of course, join.ringsidereport.net. Support the Ringside Report Network. Thank you to Harold Schneider. You're the Super Chat leader of the night. Thank you to all the members checking in, all our new viewers here tonight. Appreciate everybody joining us, and all our old viewers, people that have been here before. Shout out to everybody tuning in tonight here to Wrestling Uncensored. We should also
talk about Jeremy Prophet's match that he had in AEW, Dark Elevation.
Yes, Jeremy Prophet. We saw that this week on Monday. It feels like so long ago. Jeremy Prophet and Jessica Black wrestled Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford on AEW Dark, and it was great. Really fun to watch. Great to see our buddy Jeremy wrestle in AEW, and hopefully we'll see him again in AEW. A real talented guy, a really great match. I spoke to Jeremy. He told me that it's not likely he'll wrestle again for AEW in the near future because all their shows are in the States, and Jeremy is Canadian, like we are, and because of legal issues working in the U.S., like it's not we're not allowed as Canadians to work in the States unless we have like a work visa, right? You have to have the work visa. Right. But even though he is training at the Nightmare Factory in Atlanta, it's for training. It's like an education thing. So he's allowed to do that, but he can't work in the States legally for AEW. So they were able to use him when they were in Canada, but when they're in the States, they can't use him. So they'd have to, I think, sign him to a contract and then, get him a work visa and get him as a full-time member of the roster, which hopefully they will do. But they have not done that yet. So right now he's training at the Nightmare Factory. He had that one match on AEW Dark, hoping for more, but AEW is not going to Canada anytime soon. They're not coming back to Canada, so he might have to wait a little while. But that's a story.
He was also on
Jeremy.
Rampage.
Yeah, he was security on Rampage.
The guy who got kicked by Jay that we talked about, we couldn't tell at the time, but that was Jeremy that got knocked out of the screen just by that kick alone.
Nice.
He did a good sell job. Great sell job.
Yeah. That was also in Canada, though, right?
Yeah, that was the next, because they did 2-day taping, right?
Yeah.
Like they did Dynamite one night, Rampage the next night.
Yeah. Look at that. Jeremy Prophet getting kicked by Jade Cargill. Green Phantom getting kneed in the face as a security guard on SmackDown by Ronda Rousey. These ladies are giving our buddies good beatings when they're security guards. It's pretty good.
Well, there's some great talent, so I'm not surprised by that. Like Ronda and Jay, that's pretty good.
And when are you going to be a security guard for Ty Conti to punch in the face? Want to see that?
I think she does slaps more than punches, no?
Whatever. Want to see you get beat up by a girl on TV. All right? That's what I'm talking about. All right, guys. Thank you to everybody tuning in. But very cool to see Jeremy, right? John?
And
happy?
Jessica as well.
Yes.
Very happy, yeah. Like, I enjoyed the match. Like, first ever AEW match in Canada. That was the first one that they had. Like, so that's pretty nice to have. Like,
yeah. Can't take that away from you.
I also thought, like, Ian Riccaboni, like, commentary-wise, like, he seemed like he knew his stuff there as well. Like, he knew about Jeremy and Jessica, like, the fact that Jessica was a high school teacher.
Yeah.
And the fact that Jeremy's been wrestling for quite a while. I was also, like, a little worried at first because, like, I don't know if you noticed the graphic. It said Jeremy Prophet, not Prophet as we know it, but, like, as a prophet, yeah. I'm like, no, they changed his name, like, but they didn't change his name. The graphic guy just screwed up. So,
yeah,
still the same.
Yeah.
Which is nice. They let him keep his name.
Yeah, why not? Why not? It's a good name.
Well, some people, they change it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he gets to keep it.
Well, go check it out if you haven't already. AEW Dark. It's the opening match. Jeremy Prophet and Jessica Black versus Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. Definitely worth.
Dark Elevation.
It's Dark Elevation, not Dark? Sorry.
Yeah, Dark Elevation, yeah.
Okay, Dark Elevation. The latest episode that aired on Monday night on their YouTube channel. And I'll be back here on YouTube tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Ringside Report Network, on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the things. 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday afternoon, the UFC 280 watch-along. I'll be here with AJ and Freddie to talk UFC, to watch the pay-per-view with you and give you all the updates as we go. Thank you to everybody tuning in. Thank you once again to Harold Schneider for being the Super Chat leader of the night. Thank you, Harold. Join.ringsidereport.net if you haven't already. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all the things. I'll see you again tomorrow afternoon right here on the Ringside Report Network.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.